Hello, how are you doing today? I am excited to finally film this video because I was playing around way too much trying to test this new mic set that I got and ended up sounding way too cheap, and I was like, I'm just gonna use the audio of this old phone that I've been recording with. So today I want to talk about some very big internal things that I've been working on and kind of be on this journey with you and yeah, just be vulnerable and let you know where I'm at. And I think it could really benefit you as well. So first I want to talk about codependency and how I really am starting to realize that that is what generational trauma manifests as within our relationships, and everything is a relationship. Can you imagine life without relationships? So I'll get into that. That's the first part. Then I want to talk about this book that I read, Dying to Be Me. Super excited about it. It's been making me feel amazing during this time. Just had a breakup a week ago, and I will share about that as well. And then I'm gonna pull, because it's like multiple words, so I have to just tune in. It is a full moon eclipse, and it is a blood moon, and it's in the sign of Pisces. So I will explain what all that means, but because today is a very powerful sacred day, I'm going to be pulling one card from my tarot and fairy blessing deck for y'all. For us, actually. But more so for y'all, because I've been using tarot a lot recently just to help guide my life. So that being said, let us get started. I just want us to take maybe 3 breaths, and let's take them into the heart. So if you don't really know what that means, try to imagine like a nose in front of your heart. And this is so that we can become coherent. It's called heart coherence because our heart has an electrical field as well, the same way like our brain does. Okay, so let's tune into heart coherence. Let's just take 3 breaths together. Lovely. Thank you for breathing with me. I have a feeling this video might be a bit of a longer video, so I just want to put it out there that I feel hesitant sometimes when there's like a lot that I want to talk about, and I'm not sure that the people on the other side are fully there to receive it. So yeah, I guess it's important that you're here because something about your intuition said that this video is meant for you to somehow find support from at this time. So I want to trust that. And, even if it's 3 people that are receiving resonance with this, I think that is benefiting us all. So, yeah, that being said, the first part that I want to expand more on is this idea that is a dog that is visiting the house that you're hearing in the back. So codependence is definitely a heavier topic, of course. What I am starting to realize it as, and really was being called to talk about it here with you all in this little community of ours, is because it has so much to do with control. And a lot of that control is rooted in anxiety and fear that we won't survive. And it makes sense that human beings would have this fear because our ancestors would have to survive. So because of that, we developed ways to manipulate our environment or our community or our friends or partners to be in a state that feels safer. And maybe those on their healing journey, those that are aware of, psychology to a greater degree and how it affects our life, may understand that being in a state of survival is actually not that helpful. And this is why the spiritual aspects are very important in our journey, because we are able to let go and surrender more and trust that, the universe or the divine or God, whatever it is that you tune into or resonate with, is guiding us at all moments. And, even though we might be anxious, having this belief allows us to surrender to whatever is happening. I guess I don't really have to say, like, obviously if somebody is in a very dangerous situation, like, it's not okay to surrender, but I just want to put that out there as well, because obviously, like, you should protect yourself. This is only when it comes to inner psychology and when it comes to, like, relationships and when it might get in the way of healthy relationships. So I had been hearing this word, codependence, from this recent partner that that things broke off with. And at first I was kind of hesitant to hear that because I didn't feel as though we were that codependent, honestly. And now that, we have split apart, I'm taking this more seriously, and I did start taking it seriously inside the relationship as well, and I was trying to establish my own selfhood. And I think it was hard because there was lack of communication happening. So it made it kind of tricky as to figure out what I was supposed to do or not. Now that I'm alone, I think it's very clear to me that now I can even improve on my own journey of my future relationships and whether they will be codependent or not, because I really wanted to understand why this person was giving me this feedback. And coming back to that definition of codependence, this is not like a dictionary definition, but one that I'm starting to understand it as is wanting to control something, and at least two people amongst which there is control happening in order to relieve some sense of fear and to attain some sense of safety. So, for example, a person that may feel a sense of safety from having dinner with their partner every night, and may feel a lack of trust in where they might be certain nights, will try to control that partner to come home and have dinner with them together. And, as long as that's happening, that partner that wants that is going to feel okay. And when the other person starts to seek independence or doesn't really want to do that every night, or is starting to feel odd about this lack of trust, then, there'll start to be conflict. There will be tension. And obviously this person that's trying to come home every night is people pleasing. So there's this two sides of this equation. And this is just a very small example, and this happens between parents and children. It can happen between grandparents and children. It can happen between bosses and employees. It can happen between siblings, any two people. It can also happen between, like, one parental figure and then their spouse and their children within a family unit, for example, a nuclear family unit. So I really feel like this has far-reaching consequences, because when we have this insecurity that we can't let go and allow things allow other people to live their lives, allow things to unfold as they do, we start to shrink and contract, and we feel that, and that's where safety feels like sometimes. And I would, I would want to invite you into like thinking about where that may be taking place in your life, whether you are trying to control a situation or please somebody else, to where that codependency dynamic is developing. So I honestly feel like this is so relevant for us as progressives, as activists, because, we don't want to be, even though we want to see positive change and heal the world and, come from this place of love and regeneration, transformative justice is what I'm thinking about. We also want to understand that releasing control is incredibly, incredibly, incredibly important. And I think we don't talk about this enough. And this is where our trauma continues to perpetuate. When we're in these unhealthy relationships, we aren't able to live out our purpose of serving the world. And we are holding ourselves and other people in these contracted forms, in these forms of like trying to keep things under control. And one huge thing that I've learned in my own journey of healing my anxiety is that I actually don't want to control things, because things are living themselves out as they need to. Part of that is allowing things to fall apart, right? Allowing things to get destroyed, allowing maybe hurt to fulfill its course, to where maybe people have to learn their own lessons, or things need to actually fall apart for something new to sprout in that abyss. And I have this picture of a mushroom here that I am so inspired by, as some folks here may know, because even after like a fire, when I think about like a ravaging landscape destruction, there are beings that come in to heal, but mushrooms would not be a thing if destruction wasn't also a thing. So hopefully that's making sense. I feel like mushrooms are this very mystical entity that helps us complete the cycle, and this is why we don't live in linear ways in the material world, because we must go through cycles. And being able to evolve past these cycles, I have this reservation sometimes that I sound very woo-woo, but I really think this is grounded in ecology as well, because, we have this metaphysical, spiritual side within us that we can tap into, and we live very much on Earth, right? And Earth moves in cycles, and yoga teaches this as well. So I want to leave that there. I feel like I've talked about that quite a bit. And yeah, just wanted to share with you where I've been at the past about 2, maybe 3, 4 weeks now. It's been a really deep thing that I've been moving through, like, because of, breakup stuff, which is natural. Like, I'm processing in my own way. I'm breaking apart, like however this relationship was in that form is no longer going to be that way. And whatever comes out of this time period, I trust it's for the best. And even when I cry or feel sad, I kind of am able to trust that this is because, something has died, and I can grieve that. So, yeah. Now I want to transition into this book. So this is going to be a mini book review, I guess, but I mostly have like amazing things to say about it. It's called Dying to Be Me. by Anita Moorjani. The subtitle is My Journey from Cancer to Near Death to True Healing. And this book is written at I would say like a 4th grade reading level. So I actually ended up reading it in like 5 days. I feel like I could have even read it in less, but I was really like enjoying it. And it's funny because this is a book that I wanted to recommend to my ex-partner's father, who is actually going through terminal cancer. And, you know, I was really thinking about like, what could get this book to him? And the more I sat with this theme of control and codependency and just wanting to release and let go and not really like force anything, I realized that maybe I need to read this book, because even if someday, who knows, right, this person is able to acquire this book, whether from me or from another source, it's going to be odd that I haven't read it, because, you know, I was the one that was very adamant about him reading it. And I realized this is like a sign for me that, you know, I need to read this book. And I've had this for a few months now, actually, on my shelf. I shout out to thriftbooks.com. Not connected to Amazon in any way. So if you need a place to get secondhand books, there's plenty of like cute little, what's it called? Underlines and like random things the previous person has circled, which I enjoyed moving through, like, oh, this part resonated with whoever read it before. Like, for example, you can see it's written over. And essentially, this book reminded me of how beautiful and loving and just sacred I am. There is a TED Talk about this book if you feel like you are not going to be able to read it. And I highly recommend that TED Talk to you. You could probably just search up Anita Moorjani and her talk will come up. And it's a very, very condensed version of this. So she has this near-death experience, and she basically had cancer for 4 years, and she had cancer for 4 years, and it was developing worse and worse and worse, and it was lymphatic cancer. I don't know the medical term for that, but essentially it got so bad that she went into a coma. And in that coma, she was surrounded by her loved ones, her family, many different doctors doing a lot of different tests on her. She wasn't even able to keep her head up. Like, all of her muscles were just deteriorated, and she was very, very weak. She couldn't even eat for herself, so they had to put a feeding tube and all of these different things. She describes her condition in all this detail, and then she talks about starting to die, and she realizes her consciousness was pulling further and further back, and she could hear her loved ones speaking no matter where they were in time or in space. For example, her brother was flying in from India to Hong Kong, where she lived in Hong Kong. She could hear her brother's thoughts on that airplane, and she could hear her husband down the hall in the hospital and his thoughts and his conversation with the doctor. So she's retreated further and further and further back, and then she was starting to hear her dad, who had passed away, speaking to her, and another friend of hers who had passed away speaking to her. both who died from cancer. And this incredible fear that she had of cancer actually started to wane because she went into this space of unconditional love. So again, like, I'm obviously on my own personal healing journey as well, and all of this sounds very woo woo, but I I don't know, guys. Like, I do believe this happened. She started to see everything all at once and realized that space and time are not really relevant, and that each of us are a thread, and that reality in the physical world is a fabric where each of our threads is like woven together. And that's why relationships are so incredibly important, because they are quite truly the fabric of reality. We cannot separate ourselves from our relationships. And obviously, this came into my life at the perfect time because, I'm dying to be me. I'm dying to remember my self and, become my own individual after this year-long relationship. And I just, even when it comes to like the natural world, nothing can exist without something else. Like, even the houseplants in here, right? Like, they can't exist without me taking care of them. Mushrooms, as I mentioned earlier, can't exist without things decaying and dying. And, bees can't exist without flowers. So everything is intricately connected. And even in Buddhism, in yoga philosophy, we have the idea of interdependence. And of course, I feel like there can be a very fine line between codependence and interdependence. What is that line? I have wondered for so long, and to be truly honest, I think I am processing through this video itself that we are able to become independent, which typically there's like this book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And in that book, it goes all into how we start from codependency as babies, we literally need others to survive, and then we move through independence, where we are adults and we need to fend for ourselves, and then we can be interdependent as we are elders and we serve younger folks. But I honestly don't like it. I don't believe that. I think that, we're all in our own part of this journey, and we fluctuate. Obviously, in that framework, independence is that central point that is connecting codependence and interdependence. And I say in this framework because how is it that we even remember our independence? I think it's when we remember our divinity, the way that we are moved, like quite literally, life force energy is unconditional love and being unattached to how things happen, because we trust that things are happening the right way, because I am my own safe person, because I am home wherever I go, because I am love, right? Like, I am my own source of love. And because of that, I can be aware of, this is the beautiful dog. You might be hearing the click clack of their nails. I can be engaged in the relationships that fulfill me. And even though I want a person that will stick by my side for the rest of my life, like, I really can't control that. And I think the universe knows that really well. And because I trust that so much, I don't have to like cling on to that happening. I'm enjoying my own company. Um, so yeah, that being said, after she talks about her near-death experience and all these feelings of pure love, like feeling incredibly good in that energy, she makes this decision to come back out into the world because she realizes that she was faced with two decisions. Either she could continue to die and release everything, watch over her loved ones, and just feel incredibly good, like the ecstatic state of pleasure that is death. Or she had this awareness that was her like divine intuition that if she were to re-enter the world, she would be able to serve thousands and thousands of people. So that's why she chose to come back into this life. And a part of that knowing was that her cancer remission would happen like super fast. And it literally did, like within a week, like all of the cancer left her body. She was able to eat by herself. She was starting to laugh and play and wanted to go out and hear music and all this stuff. And the doctors couldn't even believe it. And they continued doing tests on her that were actually pretty useless. So yeah, that being said, like I want y'all to read this book. I don't think me speaking about it is going to ruin it in any way. But I want to actually pull out some kind of, as we move into this more divine section, this whole thing has been divine, more maybe metaphysical section of this video because of the reading. I want to pull out maybe a passage that wants to be spoken through for us in this moment. Okay. Yeah. Oh my God, I can't believe this, I thought in wonder. Look at the trams, the park, the buildings from my childhood. What a message. I'm getting another chance. I can make a fresh start. Although the view was familiar to me and the scenery was ordinary, somehow the world looked brand new. Everything seemed so fresh and sharp and beautiful, as though I were looking at it for the first time. The colors were brighter than I knew them to be, and I was noticing every detail as if for the first time. I looked at the surrounding buildings, one of which was the low-rise I grew up in, the park immediately across the street, which I visited when I was little, the trams trundling by, the cars driving past, the pedestrians walking along with their dogs or busily running errands. I saw everything with new eyes, as though I were a child again. The view couldn't have been more ordinary, yet it was the best thing I'd seen in a long time, maybe ever. And this was her coming out of cancer and looking out of her hospital room window for the first time and realizing that the hospital that she had been taken to was right next to the same view that she had in her childhood home. And that's why she feels like she was a child again. And like, I don't know, like I'm feeling so intense in this moment because I feel like this relationship that I just had, you know, I have still a lot of hope for it. And I know that whomever it is that I am meant to be with, that there is a renewal happening in this time. So yeah, that is this book. And dying, right? Death. How can we fully honor death? Because we can't just continue to live in fear of it we have to actually allow it to take place. Well, I have good news for you. Although this video message is meant for someone whenever they are able to access it, in this moment while I'm recording it, it is the Pisces full blood moon eclipse, and all of these little details of the moon are indicating intense endings. Pisces is the 12th sign of the astrological calendar. Full moons are a completion in the moon cycle. So you start with the new moon and then you essentially fill up to become the full moon. And spiritually, us witches, that is how we work with the moon. Eclipses, and today is a 100% eclipse, and this moon is going to last for 82 minutes, the eclipse I meant, which is a very long time. Like, that's, I think, almost an hour and a half. Eclipses are when, there is this emptiness, essentially, that the moon fully covers over this. Actually, you know what? I'll be honest. In this moment, I don't know fully what the eclipse looks like in the sky. I'm not a master astrologer in that way, but what I have been hearing from the astrologers that I follow is eclipses are when there's this void and emptiness and just ability to see what is dying and what is ending and why it's needing to happen in that way. So, and then the blood part of it is because it's going to be a red moon, just because of the way that light is going to refract and take place. The moon is quite literally going to look red tonight. And that's why I'm wearing red and honoring that. And then I'm going to this really wonderful Kali Mata ritual happening today at an art show, which I'm very excited for because Kali Mata actually surprisingly comes up for me in breakups and endings. So I'm so deeply honored that she's returning in my life and I'm able to release the things that need to leave. That being said, let's grab a tarot and an oracle. Let's see which needs to come first. You know what? What I'm hearing in this moment is what I needed to share as well around emotions, because there was one passage in this book where she explained why it is that we need to honor all of our emotions. She explained it in this visual metaphor of us being conduits of unconditional love. However, our mind is like a prism. So if unconditional love is bright white light, our mind is this prism through which that light filters through, and that light breaks up into the rainbow. Roy G. Biv, right? These colors are what our emotions are. Emotions are energy in motion. So each of these colors represents the different emotions that we have. That's why we need to honor each and every emotion, even if it's fear, even if it's sadness, dread, anxiety, feeling small, feeling big, feeling happy and joy and love. Excuse me. Why did I burp in that love? I'm sorry. As you can see, I'm not sorry. I'm just feeling really good in this moment. She explained that we need to honor each and every one of our emotions, because without that, we are quite literally suppressing who we are. So that's this visual that came to my mind that I would like you to know in this moment, because it's really important to feel your emotion and be however you need to be in any given moment. Please, Divine, give me one card. Thank you. Seven of Swords in reverse. I'm like, is this gonna be my cover photo? So this is what the Seven of Swords in reverse looks like. Here is it in the upright position. Basically what's happening in this card is there's this shadow, and there is this fox. This kind of looks like a T-Rex to me. And this fox is holding a bunch of arrows that I assume in this story are being thrown at the fox. And the fox feels very alone, because there is, what I'm sensing right now is this generational trauma that's looming over this fox that they aren't able to escape from and continue to be hurt from. I feel like there's regrets that this fox has about decisions that they've made. Feels like things cannot be renewed. 7 is also a lucky number for many people. It's a very spiritual number. In this deck in particular, 7 represents desire and re-evaluation. So this is where we might be in terms of our lives right now. Swords represents intellect. Often I think when there are kind of these like negative feeling cards with the swords suit, it indicates to me there's been a lot of overthinking. So desire and reevaluation of things. In reverse, not necessarily meaning the opposite of the meaning of this card. I think the reversal is saying that you can follow your guidance. There is a way to continue on this path to move to 8 from 7. To kind of, I'm trying to tune in. Yeah, it's saying like, don't be so hard on yourself, like sometimes it is needed to be hard on yourself and needed to have to protect yourself. And that's why remember earlier when I said, like, if you're in an unsafe situation, like, you should not be surrendering. This is clearly an unsafe situation where this fox is defending themselves from this huge shadow that's looming over them and trying to like crush them and hurt them and follow them around. And look, the shadow is actually the fox's own. So it's something that they experience when they're often alone. So in reverse, I think this is saying like, actually, maybe consider that you might be safe. Consider that you might not have to be defending yourself so much. Consider the environment that you're in. This smoke here tells me that there might be a community or the campfire that was happening recently. So there's people over here, or at least other animals, right? You don't have to be a lone wolf on this path. That's what this reversal is telling me. And let's finally conclude with a blessing from the fairies. I love fairy energy so much. I can already feel like a water spirit. Oh, wow. There's 2. Should I take both? Okay, it's only the top card. Oh my gosh. Wait, okay, this needs to come out as well. So there are two. There were actually three. I know this shit is crazy. I'm just trying to fucking have the messages come through. All right, so I have 16, 30, and 32. Wow. 16 and 32? That's literally, 32 is the double of 16. Okay. The first one that was definitely wanting to come out is A Blessing of Elf Locks. I have quite literally never seen this before. I love, neither have I the other one. I love when that happens in the index. This person is tuning in to their own energy. It doesn't seem like they are ecstatic, but they're just listening. They're in this contemplative mood. I get this non-binary energy or gender expensive energy because I see no shirt. I also see an alternative hairstyle here. Not that these things need to mean that a person is non-binary, but just that they're really trying to get to know who they are, get to know their expansive energy. They're clearly outdoors in the woods. This kind of looks like this wolf coming back down to the woods. If you can see here, imagine this wolf kind of like walking back down somehow to this area. Like, you know, these tall trees resembling each other in the foliage. They're back into that greenery, trying to seek where it feels like they're safe. I think they're kind of drained as well. Yeah, I think overall if just look at this face. I think overall what I'm seeing is like there's this exhaustion, but there's also like an inner trust about where things are heading. Like, I'm so tired, but like, Spirit, please just take me where I need to go. I'm releasing control now. Okay, I want to read, so this is 16. I think 16 to me could, I mean, that number is so often like, sweet 16, like, when you're 16 years old, especially like maybe as more of a femme person, there's this like excitement about becoming 16 because it's this age, like even there's also like, you know, quinceañeras when girls are 15 in Latina culture. Maybe I should say Mexican culture. I may be a little more ignorant about that area because I'm not sure all of which cultures do quinceañeras. I believe it's just Mexican, but all right, let's take a read of this one. A Blessing of Elf Locks. A fairy gift to help you sense their presence and detect their signs. The gift of elf locks is the gift of the fairy's presence being made known in your life. In days gone by, children who awoke with tangled hair from dreams of fairies were said to have been visited by the fae in their sleep. And horses in the field who'd been ridden by the fae at night would be found with mysterious plaits and locks tangled with flowers. The blessing of the elf locks, therefore, is the gift of the fairy's presence made tangible in your life. This could take the form of small gifts and offerings from the fae, or the appearance and disappearance of small objects in your home if you have invited the fairy into the home. It is often said that the fairies steal objects or play tricks, but I find this is rarely so. It is more that an object requires cleansing and will be returned to you when it is clear once again, or its work has been done in the other realms. So, to be blessed in this way is to have evidence of their presence, to know for sure that they are here with you and within the world. And once experienced, they can no longer be denied or dismissed as fantasy. And when we have had that experience, we are forever changed, for we know now that what many think of as unreal is as true and real as sunshine, flowers, clean water, and the smiles of children. It is a blessing of the proof of their presence, fairy friend. I think the biggest thing that can indicate the blessings of fairies around you is, accidentally losing things, being a little mindless, and knowing that, yeah, maybe a fairy had to take it for a little while to give it blessings, or someone else needed it. So this other one that was coming out, 32, I feel like this is the mature version of the other one. It is a blessing of stability. And I was saying some water energy may come out because my mouth is quite parched. I've been talking obviously for like 45 minutes now. But here we are, water energy, these stacked stones that are not actually good when we go on hikes, so please knock them over if you see them, and don't build them. It hurts the insects to not have rocks and such. I'm also seeing a slight bit of exhaustion in the face here, and I'm seeing like this person has gone through many different forms of the same cycle, perhaps. They look wiser, and yet they're still able to be, in some ways like youthful and confident. I mean, this is a baddie. Like, look at that face. What the fuck? Baddie. There's also like Katara energy. I don't know. Like, look at that. That's like when she gets angry and she's like trying to fucking meditate on some rocks, and she's like, no, you know what? I should be mad. Like, I have the right to be mad. It's kind of like that Cancerian, like, I take care of everyone. Like, I'm tired. Good, you should be tired, because you should not always be taking care of other people. Like, take care of your damn self. There's also, look at this freaking stone here. Like, every other one makes sense, but this one is like, how are you balancing? So this is kind of like teetering on stability is a very like cultivated practice that you do over time. It's a very like yogic card. I'm actually probably going to put this on my altar after we're done. It's okay to be upset and to need to regulate. Yeah, actually I see that this card is indigo. It's not actually blue, it's indigo. So indigo is a very I wouldn't even say transitional color, but it's kind of this expansive color as well, one that we feel very calm in. And no wonder like the British would raid South Asia for indigo, because even denim, like we have denim because of indigo, because it's a very calming color. Indigo is the third eye color, tapping into our intuition. So whatever that may mean for you, take what resonates, leave what does not. And I will take a read of this and we will wrap up. A blessing of stability. The fairy gift of balance and home that can be found within yourself. Exactly. Accept now, fairy friend, this blessing of the fae, the ability to find balance, a center, a home from which strength can spring forth. They who cannot be parted from the land, who resist all attempts to banish them, who dwell between the worlds, now offer you this gift of balance and stability. When this gift comes to you, you will be as centered and balanced as the land, with a sense of deep belonging and love of where you are, and a feeling of your home being the safe, joyous, and fulfilling place it can be. When this blessing comes to you, there will be a great balance. as you will be connected to the terrestrial and to the celestial. This is why I said it's so yogic, because we are, if you come to my meditations, you understand that what we do with our posture when we have a straight back is we connect metaphysical energy to physical energy, like the stars to the center of the earth. That's why we must always walk with a tall spine. Unless, of course, we have a disability, which means we can do that internally as well. Trying to see where I left off. When this blessing comes, you will find you have the influence and ability to create what you need within your home and heart, and you will be able to resist any who oppose you or do not understand you. With this gift comes the ability to find the right location for you, the place within the world where you are meant to be at this moment, and to know that it is destiny at play. You are of the earth and the stars, fairy friend. You are finding your own domain, and you will be blessed with a home that is your own, with a stability and balance within that space, and you will celebrate just who you are without fear of discrimination or misunderstanding. Healthy relationships can be yours when this blessing comes to you, and strength, power, and influence are yours when this gift is made yours. Be blessed, friend, with the gifts of the fairies, and know that you will find the place you belong in this world. I am my own home. Wherever I go, I am home. Lokaha samastaha sukhino bhavantu, sarve janaha sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be free from suffering and experience liberation. May the guidance from this video and your path allow you to cultivate this reality. Thank you so much, friends.